2.5 weeks ago, David Wald accused Crunchyroll of mail theft / mail fraud. It's a very serious accusation, and for those that are unaware of just how serious it is, just one count of mail fraud could be about $250,000. You factor in that there has been countless fan mail stolen from him, and it was a prolonged period of time of 5 years of mail stolen from him that he never got to see. You can actively say that most likely the amount of cost in terms of like what the felonies would cost is probably in the millions at this point. For instance, what David Wald has accused Crunchyroll of is mass mail fraud that legitimately could be seriously damaging not just to the employees of Crunchyroll but to Crunchyroll itself as a brand, because that is not something that the government messes around with when it comes to mail fraud and opening people's mail and stuff. They take that extremely serious. So these accusations that David Wald made a few weeks back was definitely making the rounds in the anime and manga community, and a lot of people started talking about Crunchyroll and their ethics and all that. It resurfaced the whole controversy around, let's say, AI translations to agenda pushing with, like, you know, people that translate anime to inaccurate translations to just very improper, you know, subtitle timings when an episode releases, all sorts of issues with Crunchyroll, and that doesn't even get into, let's say, the disabled comments and all the other stuff. But basically, thanks to the controversy a few weeks back, the floodgates opened and Crunchyroll got even more flack than it already has been in the last year. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because I'm setting the stage up for what was released earlier yesterday, because it is a continuation and a follow-up to the story I covered a few weeks back. Because obviously, when I made my video about 2.5 weeks ago when this news broke, you know, Crunchyroll was yet to respond. They did not respond to David Wald. They did not even, like, respond to his emails or anything like that. And this was the post he made when the whole public, the whole internet found out about this. He's like, "Dear fellow workers at Crunchyroll, below is a photo of the complete contents of one of the packages addressed to me that was opened and distributed to employees. If you've ended up in possession of any of it, I would very much like it returned to me." And basically, the whole point of this is that this was just one package. And as I already stated at the beginning of this video, just one count of mail fraud is like $250,000, okay? Over $200,000. And we know for a fact that this was ongoing for literally 5 years, and he is a voice actor, so you know a famous voice actor, like voices, for instance, Gajeel from, like, Fairy Tail and all other characters. Like, here's a list of characters he's voiced over the years. Sorry for the flashbang of the white screen, but he's voiced countless characters. And so, someone that's been active in the industry for basically 2+ decades at this point, it's very clear that he's definitely garnered a lot of fan mail. And in the last 5 years, definitely hundreds upon hundreds of fan mail, potentially. And so, when you think about that situation, one count is $200,000 to $250,000, okay? That's a felony. Imagine hundreds, okay? We're talking about multi-million, maybe even $50 to $100 million potential fines against the employees and Crunchyroll itself for how this even happened in the first place. And something I didn't really talk about in my first follow-up video I made, or the first video I made, was that if this has happened to one voice actor, this has definitely happened to more than just one voice actor. What I'm trying to say is that the reason why this is out in the light, because obviously Crunchyroll's employees were caught, but if this happened to one person, you know they're opening up fan mail of other VAs. That's definitely what they're doing. They're definitely doing this, and they just haven't been caught for it yet. And so this just, like, it is definitely a huge lawsuit that is definitely taking place here that could easily happen against Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll obviously is in some very hot water because of this. I ain't no lawyer, but it's very apparent, just like with the obvious accusations here, and if this really is 100% he has definitive proof like David Wald does, Crunchyroll is donezoed. Like, it is not good for them. Like, their very internal structure might have to be completely changed if there is a full-blown lawsuit, which gets into the current stuff of today. Now, with the groundwork being placed, we can talk about this information right here. So, David Wald made a post early morning yesterday talking about how he will not be returning to Crunchyroll. He will not be voicing characters like Gajeel and, you know, from Fairy Tail and other different roles he's had over the years, and he is about to basically expose Crunchyroll for their abuses and stuff on a live stream. Now, judging by what he said in previous posts, like if you go through his, like, his social media and stuff, he's basically said that, you know, he is going to be seeking legal action and all that, and I feel like the way the direction is going, David Wald is building up a case. He's building up a case against Crunchyroll to potentially sue them, potentially showcase their, their actual illegal activities and different things they have done and all that. He's about to drag them through the mud, so to speak. And so, with this statement overall, David seems to be very serious about everything that's going on. And to be fair with him, I wouldn't want to work with Crunchyroll either if they stole my fan mail. I wouldn't want to participate with them, work with them, or whatever. So him backing down from voice acting characters is sad, don't get me wrong, but it's understandable why he would do that. And I just think that, legitimately, I wouldn't be able to work with a company if they were actively stealing my mail for years. Even if they were to, let's say sorry or whatever, and I'm assuming they have not, I still wouldn't want to work with him, which that gets into the next point. So with this announcement that David made, it's very clear that Crunchyroll has probably not responded to him. They have probably not really talked with him or anything like that, and if there has been, obviously David hasn't really said anything about it. The only thing we have is that happened, a few days after his announcement that they were stealing his stuff, is that still no reply at all from the old Crunchyroll, no apology, no commitment to recover items, nothing. Basically, he was never directly contacted. This was the last thing he actually said about it until earlier yesterday, when he said he was going to start exposing Crunchyroll for everything they've done. Now, let's get into what that is. For instance, why they haven't responded to him, but some might have heard that, Crunchyroll did respond and have some form of statement to make. So basically, to make a long story short, Crunchyroll did respond on the same day as David's, post, for instance, this post here, but they never responded to him. In fact, the only actual comment they made was, this picture here, which you can see right here. You can pause the screen to read it for yourself, and they, this is what David said that exact same day after that came out, and basically, that statement came from Anime News Network, a anime news site, contacting Crunchyroll about the situation, and basically Crunchyroll said that they are actively investigating it and stuff, and that's basically all they gave. So, they never responded to David, from what we can see. They have kept it very hush-hush, which makes sense, because obviously they have quite a high-class lawsuit potentially on their hands, depending on how they handle this, so they're definitely wanting to play very defensive. They don't want to open the door up for potentially even more lawsuits and stuff, but regardless of the situation, it seems that they have been very silent. They haven't talked with David whatsoever. They've never really responded to him, and that means the only time they've responded is a comment to Anime News Network. So what you've seen basically with the response is just this email, so to speak, which seems very unprofessional, because it's like, Crunchyroll, I understand you don't want to open yourself up to a lawsuit, but it's so easy to be like, okay, there's obviously some very bad activity with these employees. You could easily make a statement saying you're investigating and, looking into the situation, make a public statement, garner some goodwill. Obviously, their reputation's already damaged from this. They could have garnered goodwill of just saying, okay, we're going to investigate it. And then, as they investigate it, they potentially fire the people and, they put them into, the no-no square, basically saying that you're potentially going to get sued by this man because, obviously, what you done, but try to distance themselves, so to speak, from the overall lawsuit. They could have easily have done that, but clearly they're not wanting to do that. They're kind of doubling down, trying to remain very silent, which, like I said, is probably why David has resorted to this, and now he's going to be exposing them, and probably, like I said, he's seeking legal help. But yeah, it's some wild stuff, honestly. Crunchyroll really has just degraded over the years. It's just super, super insane to me. I've had offers to work with Crunchyroll in the past, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm glad that I never really fully followed up and worked with them completely, because it's like, if they're treating their voice actors and stuff like this, I could not imagine how they would just treat regular content creators. I could not imagine that. So I'm glad, honestly. I mean, so I can say whatever I want. I'm not gonna happen to be hush-hush and play on ice or on glass because I don't want to lose a sponsorship or something. I'm just gonna keep it legitimately real. This is gross activity, what Crunchyroll is doing, and the fact that you have a voice actor having to basically go this far to be able to get his fan mail back is absolutely insane. Crunchyroll really, what are you doing? What are you doing? As I've said before, the only reason I have a Crunchyroll subscription is because I use it as a tax write-off since I'm a content creator. And I'm going to keep it completely blunt. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I'm able to use that. But if I wasn't a content creator that could use that, I would not have a Crunchyroll subscription. I'm going to be completely blunt. I could not recommend a company that's this corrupt. I can't. That is just legitimately insane to me. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. May you all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Just wanted to keep you guys up to date with this news story. But be safe. Chibi out.